Welcome to this week's show of the Crazy Gentleman Podcast. I am your host, the Crazy Gentleman, and this week we have a very special one for you. I know I say that every week, but this week I'm serious. This guy is... this is also my last Mama Tried episode too, for anyone who is concerned about that. He is also one of only two builders to have a motorcycle at every single Mama Tried. He is the author of the book, How to Build an Old School Bobber, and he has raced, restored, and customized vintage Harleys his entire life all over this country. And by all over this country, I mean raced them coast to coast, you name it. He's been to every show and every race there is vintage Harley. He is, I would say, mostly known to be the world's coolest shop teacher. He's been a shop teacher for over 20 years, and he has been teaching kids metal fabrication, welding, machining, 3D printing, CNC plasma cutting, and most importantly, how to build and customize motorcycles. He's probably taught and gotten more kids into motorcycles than anyone on this planet. I'm making that statistic up, but it's probably true. I don't know. Maybe he agrees, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But anyways, without further introduction, his name is Kevin Baas, known as Teach. I'm not sure if I said that or not. I don't know. My mind is elsewhere. It's been a rough day. I also want to take a moment to thank my producer, Whiskey Eye, the world's best producer, and Evan Simbita _custom_knives. On Instagram, give him a call, 740-270-9057. Call Evan. And bareknuckleperformance.com for all of your badass Harley Davidson parts and customizing needs. 100% made in America. And Lexan-moto.com. Punch in the code word crazy at checkout for 15% off. And the reason I lead into that is I want to remind people the giveaway is still going on for people that want to sign up to be Patreon members. Starts at $5 a month. That's only $1.25 a week. Think about what dumb stuff you buy for $1 a week. You could still help support this show. So yeah, to win these prizes that I'm about to show you, you have to be a subscriber here on YouTube. If you have Instagram, you have to follow me on Instagram and become a Patreon member starting at $5 a month. And you can also go on up from there if you are feeling super duper generous. All of these prizes will ship out with stickers from me and a bunch from Evan. Only the Lexan shirt will ship out with the Lexan sticker. You got a shirt from Evan. You guys will be able to pick any of these prizes also. You've got a shirt from Kenny's House of Horsepower, one of the best Harley engine builders in the game. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona, and you could find him on Instagram, Kenny13. And the Lexan shirt. You're getting a lot of visuals here. For people that are just listening to the podcast, you're really missing out. It's all about the YouTube these days. You get to see me moving around like an idiot, and you get to see these cool prizes. And you get to see the podcast on scene, because this is not a normal podcast in a studio. This podcast goes all cool places. Let's see what old Hemingway here has. You got all the Crazy Gentleman shirts that you could pick from also. You got the Crazy Gentleman script letter shirt here in green. Got it in gray. over here, boom. And my last but not least, my favorite shirt. Look at that badass shirt with the Crazy Gentleman logo, and you'll get some stickers to match it. Check that out. Hell yeah. All right. Anyways, enough with the advertising and all that stuff. Yeah. Also, man, I want to say one other thing, and I don't want any messages or anything like that from this. That's not why I'm saying this, but a friend of mine was murdered today. Just a crazy story, but the reason I say that is be careful of the people you keep in your life. And if you got any mental health issues or you know anyone who's going through some shit, man, you could get help for free anywhere nowadays. Go seek help out or help someone that you know or love. And be careful who you keep in your life, and be careful who you associate with. And yeah, just adding to Kevin's message at the end of this show, just by chance, this show was over a month ago now. We did this like 5 weeks ago. I'm just recording this now and it'll get out tomorrow. But just adding to his message at the end, just stay positive, man. Keep going through life. Be fortunate for what you got right now. And yeah, chase your dreams with every fucking thing you got. Life's a one-lap race, man. And you don't know if you're even going to make it to the finish line. So, there ain't no redos. Make that lap count. I'll see you guys next week. So, anyways, here we are. Mama tried with Kevin Baas.
2023, another year.
Yeah.
COVID-free zone now, right?
Dude, speaking of another year, how many years have you been here?
I've been here every single year since it started. So how many years has this been going on? 8, 9?
Dude, I think it's like 11.
11. So
I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm just spitting numbers out.
They said that myself and Michael Lang are the only two that had a bike in every single show since its founding show. So my first year was my 47 Elvis. After that, I've had, knuckles and flatheads and panheads, and, it's just every year I try to keep this torch going because I want to keep having a bike here, do something different. It pushes me to, scrounge more parts, find more things I want to build, get more projects for my class with the high school that I do, my sons at home, get them excited about stuff. So, yeah, since day one, we've been coming to Mama Tried and had a bike in the show, so I'm pretty honored. And, I appreciate Warren and Scott for always having me here. Did it die on us?
Nope, we're good. Yeah, dude, I was talking to Lang yesterday, and he was saying the same thing. I just met him yesterday.
He's awesome. He's a legend.
Yeah, he's like an honorary, he's a real honorary guy here.
He's one of them guys that's forgotten more than I'll ever know, and it's like when he talks, you listen. Yeah. Because he knows it, he's done it, he's lived it, and he still does, and it's pretty amazing to see a guy like that still out there rocking it like he's 20 years old,
Yeah.
Fountain of youth.
That's what one of the things I was talking to him about was basically there's like no end in sight for him, man. He said he still feels like a kid and he's ready to rock, you know?
Love it.
Almost like he's like rekindling this whole another fucking whole other like chapter in his life in a sense, Like,
right.
It's going to be pretty exciting, I think, to see what is in that guy's future, which sounds kind of weird from an older builder.
Nah.
I think his future is like really.
Well, he was
awesome.
He was an innovator back in the day, and now the stuff he did is being copied and remodeled, and then he's bringing stuff out he did when he was in high school that people are blown away with. Like, that's the coolest thing. And he's like, I did it when I was 17. It's like, whoa,
right.
This guy's definitely a legend.
Yeah, he was telling me a story. His first motorcycle he bought when he was like 14 years old. The whole story of it was just wild. Like how he paid $12 a week for it.
Right.
Like, it was crazy, dude.
Yeah, my dad's got some cool stories. Same thing when he was his age, and he'd work at the local garden center picking weeds to save up and buy his first bike. And it's neat to see how the stuff they've done now has really changed the whole evolution of how we're doing things and what we see and do. And you know, you look at a lot of these bikes, you know, nothing's been not done before because of these guys. These guys have tried it all. You know, there's no little cool thing that you see that like, that's never been done before, because most of it it's kind of recreating what these guys did back in the 60s and 70s, and it's pretty cool to see. You know, especially with young builders, new guys that maybe getting their first old bike or first custom. And you know, it gets in your blood. It becomes a whole life odyssey of, you know, what are we going to do? You know, what's next year? And you get more excited about, you know, going to a swap meet and finding that one part you need. You know, it's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's sad, but it's awesome that there's no real like thing you could do now that's original in a sense. But what has changed is the quality of fabrication.
Yeah, right.
Is like through the fucking roof.
Yeah,
man.
The engineering side of the bikes is really, like you say, taken off. Like,
it's wild.
Back in the day, they were doing cool things with the technology they had, but now with today's technology and some of the stuff people are doing, I mean, and these young minds, man, guys are just, they're creating bikes where you're like, how does that work? And how did you even think of that?
Yeah.
And it's crazy, you know, it's
skill's
cool.
coming out of home garages too.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy.
And that's kind of stuff with my students I'm trying to show them, like, man, you can do anything. You can be in just a little, I built, you know, my Born Free 510 had won best show, built just in a little 2-car garage, part way, and then with a bunch of high school kids in a shop class. Nothing fancy, you know, no CNC, nothing. It was just blood, sweat, and tears, good ideas, and willing to put in the time and make stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of funny too, man, is you said you grew up around motorcycles and all that. Is that what motivated you to be a teacher and to this whole journey you've been on, this whole career of basically teaching a whole nother generation? You probably taught more kids than anyone ever in history.
It's getting...
So think about it, you know, like introduced more kids to motorcycles and choppers and metal fabrication than anyone ever.
I feel fortunate. I feel fortunate for being able to do that. Like when you say that, it makes me kind of think deep about it. You know, it's a tear in my eye because I'm like, I'm excited. Like what I do, I love it. It's my job. It's my career.
Yeah.
But to be able to do cool stuff like this with kids and get them excited about something to this level, and having like Harley Davidson on board with us, supporting us, and the Mama Tried crew, and you name it, man. It's like what I do with the kids, I'm always going to do no matter what. If there's no bike shows, I'd still do what I was doing because I see how good it is for the kids.
Yeah.
But having a show like this and the support, it's so fun because when I show up here, man, it's like a family reunion now. And I meet so many new, you know, there's people like you guys that I've known for years doing this, but every year I meet a handful of new people that, oh, you're that teacher guy. Thanks for what you do. I wish I would have had you when I was in high school. I wouldn't have dropped out, you know. And that kind of legacy is what I really want to leave behind and let people know that, hey, you know, it's not just about building the bikes, but the bikes really help make it cool to get kids hooked, you know, and really like to want to learn stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever had a student graduate and then go on to build a bike for this show? Not yet, you know, but I wouldn't put it past that. It's going to happen down the road. You know, I've had one girl student go to MMI in Arizona, and she was working at Mile High Harley in Colorado, and she's actually got a KR bike. She bought a KR while she was in my class. Hasn't done much with it yet, but I'm like, that would be the bike, you know, they'd love to see here, you know. Yeah. Original Survivor. Yeah. One of your kids is here. He's too shy to be on camera, but is that the first time you've had a kid, one of your kids bring a bike to the show? Actually, that's my cousin's husband, so he's a... I thought that was one of your kids. No. Oh, okay. So I sold him my 47 Nuck Brownie. Like, I don't ever... The rule with me is, you know, when I buy stuff, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to sell it. If I sell something, it's because I have to, for a reason to help the family, you know, whatever, hard times. But with this Brownie knuckle, 47 knuckle that I got, he had wanted it from the minute he saw it. He goes, oh, I love that bike. If you ever sell it, you know, please put me on the list. I'd love to buy it. He wasn't married to my cousin yet. He's a good kid though, and we got closer, and all of a sudden I had to put a new septic in at her house, and my wife needed a new vehicle, and I needed money, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about selling this knuckle, but I said, it's got to stay in the family. So I said, I can't sell it to you if you're not married to my cousin, you know. And I knew they were already going to get married. They weren't engaged yet, but so it was kind of a jab, like, okay, you know, get that ring and let's see the engagement. And then I'll sell you the bike because now I know it's staying in the family, you know. And it worked out good. He loves the bike, and he was able to bring it this year, put it on display. His first Mama Tried. He's excited. And I just sold him a 48 frame. I brought it with and dropped it off at his house. So he's going to start building a pan head down the road, and hopefully his pan head will be here in a couple of years. Awesome. You said 48?
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's those are my favorite year panheads, 48 to 54, man. I'm a sucker for a wishbone frame.
Oh yeah, right. And a 48, especially with that Springer front end still. I mean, I'm a sucker for them Springers. Like,
oh yeah.
I love Springers. I got a 58 that's going to be in the Harley Museum for the Mama Tried, and I put an old knuckle Springer on it just because I'm like, I don't care. It's not right for the bike. It just looks cool, you know.
Yeah. You said it's going to be in the Harley Museum for the 150th, you mean?
Yeah, they're starting
120th.
120th coming up, and they're going to actually have a big display in the museum about Mama Tried and the builders.
Oh, cool.
So they picked, I don't know if there's 10 builders that have been in the shows, and they chose me as one of them. So my 58 panhead that was in the show here last year will be in the museum for, I think they said about a year and a half it's going to run. So
awesome. I'm assuming one of Lang's bikes too?
I would think so. Yeah, I guess I didn't ask him about it, but when we see him later, we'll have to ask him. But I'm sure he's got one going in it.
Cool, man. Cool. I don't normally do this because it's like normally a long run podcast. Everyone's tight on time. So I'm just going to hit you with some highlight questions. What would you say a highlight of your career would be so far?
You know, I think one of the best things was when we built the bike that Sugar Bear donated us the front end. And so it was really crazy because Sugar Bear was invited here to do a presentation at the Harley Museum. And Bear asked me to come as his special guest because Bear loves what
Sugar Bear?
Yeah, Sugar Bear,
okay.
Yep. He loves what I do with the kids. He's been a huge supporter. He's like another father figure to me. And he said, hey, Teach, he goes, I want you to come to the Harley Museum. I'm doing a presentation about, you know, Ed Hardy and all his, you know, the guys that his brotherhood that started building bikes back in the day, did the Easy Rider bikes and all that. And he said, I want you to be here, you know, and
oh yeah, they got inducted this year. What was it? Who the hell did that induction this year?
Yeah, I gave Sugar Bear an award at the.
Cliff Bose and. Anyways, man, I don't know your story, but anyways, the highlight. Get back.
Yeah, so he invites me to the Harley Museum for this presentation he's doing. He's like the special guest of honor. Mm-hmm. I show up. I'm sitting there. He actually has me, you know, in the crowd sitting watching, and while he's doing his presentation in front of, you know, there's Willie G. Davidson sitting there, and the Davidson family, and the Harley, everybody was there, and all the corporate execs, and tons of people there to watch this. And he actually recognized me in this crowd as who I am and what I do with the kids, and it was amazing. Like, I was blown away, you know, I was in tears, and he had me stand up, and he announced in front of the crowd that, you know, and I'm gonna donate a 24-inch over Springer to teach his class.
Wow.
And then he looked over at Willie G and he says, yeah, it'd be nice if somehow we could find a motor for him in the class. And Willie G put a thumbs up. And it was crazy because Sugar Bear made the front end, shipped it to Minnesota, you know, and obviously he's in California. He flew in then to meet the kids and see the front end at the class and what we were going to build. In the meantime, Willie G, that gave the thumbs up for me getting a motor and tranny, had us come down. We actually went to the factory, and I built the motor on the assembly line with the workers. It was so cool.
Really?
And that bike got done. Then they invited it to be in the museum, so it was in the museum for a year. So that was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah. That
is really cool. 24 over?
Yeah.
That's a big bike.
It's a long
man.
bike, and it handles like a dream. Bear's front ends are it's amazing. There's no flop, smooth, nice. It doesn't get too pogoy, but it eats the bumps. And I had it at the Buffalo Chip and Michael's display, and then I did a Baker burnout drags with it even too, which was pretty cool. So, you know, that was probably the highlight of building that bike, from the story of how it started, getting it in the museum, getting it in the Michael Lichter display, and doing the burnout contest, and it was just a fun overall experience with that one.
Yeah, I'll go on the opposite end of that, because anytime anyone has a real long career, a very successful career, what would you say the low point was, like a struggle where you like really had to motivate yourself to say, I got to keep going with this, you know? Like,
it was definitely in the last couple of years of when we had COVID. You know, I wasn't teaching in person. It was all virtual behind a computer screen from home. The kids weren't in the shop doing anything. And it was tough, man. Like, I'm a shop teacher. I need to make sparks, and the kids need to be welding to learn how to weld. You can't just tell them virtually how to weld. They got to be in there and weld to do it.
Yeah.
So it was a real low point for me as a teacher, because I love what I do in the shop, and the kids love what they do in the shop. And, you know, I had some really good sophomores that junior, senior year, they never got to be in the shop, and they graduated without having that experience to finish the bike that they started with me, and that was sad, you know.
Right. Yeah, that is sad, man.
But we bounce back now, and we're getting ready to get better than ever and put all that behind us and stay positive and focus on the future.
Yeah. I got another question too. This is I don't even know if you want to talk about it, but you let me know. I've heard I'll say like a cloudy version of this story, and it intrigued me. And I said the next time I see you, I'm going to ask you. I just didn't know it'd be on a podcast. What is the story with this bike that you had like lost or sold? And then I heard like Jason Momoa bought it back for you or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or like gifted it to your kid.
Yeah.
I don't know like the real details. I heard like a secondhand cloudy version of it.
Well, here's what happened.
What's the real deal version of that story?
So I was sitting at home over the summer this couple years back, and I get a phone call saying, "Hey, we got somebody that's going to call you. They want to come by your place if you're okay with it. They're doing some short videos for Harley Davidson. We told them about you, and we want to know if you." And I'm like, and they wouldn't tell me who it was. So I was like, "Well, I'm fine. You know, I've worked with Harley for so long now. I mean, I trust them. They know who I am. We're on a good relationship where if they want me to help out them with something, I'm all for it because they've helped me out." And so the phone's ringing, and it was a blocked number, so I hung up a few times, and then finally my Harley rep friend calls me back and says, "Hey, why do you keep hanging up on him?" I said, "Well, it's just a blocked number. I don't know. I thought it was spam." He says, "No, answer." Answer the phone, and it's Jason Momoa. You know, everybody knows him as Aquaman or whatever, but it's like, he's like, "Hey, bro, why are you hanging up on me, man? This is Jay." And I'm like, and at the time I didn't know. I'm like, "Jay?" I'm like, "Jay who?" You know, and he's like, "Jay Momoa." And all of a sudden I'm like, "Jay Momoa?" I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh, man, sorry, I didn't mean to hang up on you. I just didn't know who it was. It looked like a blocked number, and I get a lot of spam calls."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, you know, I'm gonna be your way in about a week. Is it okay if we come with my crew and we'll stay on your property? We won't come in the house. We got our own, you know, overland kind of vehicles that we stay in." And I'm like, "Sounds good to me. Come on, and we'll do it." And he was gonna come for like 2 days. Well, he shows up, sees my Baas acres and all my bikes in the barn, and we hit it off, man. Like, I didn't know what to expect, you know. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Like, you think a Hollywood actor, famous guy who's he's the top of his game right now. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was going to show up and kind of be a prima donna, and all of his, you know, his helpers were going to be telling me what to do and don't touch this and don't do that. Totally different, man. He was like just one of the dudes. It was awesome. We got along great. He was the real deal, genuine, no bullshit. And he cared. Like, he asked questions. He was walking around looking at stuff, asking questions. And anyway, bottom line is, he found out that I had wrote a book, How to Build an Old School Bobber, years ago, and my first version of it has an old 57 pan chopper on the cover. And we're talking about how, you know, my first pan I had to sell and da-da-da, and he kept saying, like, "Man, you should try to get that bike back, you know, it needs to be in your family. Your boys should have that bike. That's your first pan." I'm like, "I know, just, you know, I'm not a rich guy, you know, school teacher. I had to sell it for the family." And anyway, long story short, the guy who I had sold it to was my tattoo artist, Josh Arment from Aloha Monkey, and Josh had actually said to me, like, "Hey, you know, if you want to buy we call it Frankenstein because it was just a cool old ratty looking bike." He said, "If you want to buy Frank back, I'd sell it back to you." And so I'm like, "Well, hey, I got a guy here that might be interested in buying. It's not me, but it's, you know, he's a good dude." And Josh like, "Oh, come over." Took Jay over to Josh's place, the Aloha Monkey in Burnsville, and they talked. The next thing you know, sight unseen, he bought the bike. Didn't even see it, just said, "Hey, I want to teach his first pan, and I'm buying it." So we get back to my house, and then the bike was stored not too far from my place. So I'm like, "Jay, I'll be back in a little bit. You know, you guys hang out here online. I'm going to go get the bike, and I'll bring it home." And I pull in on the bike, and Jay's like, "Dude," he goes, "I know that bike. I've seen that bike." Like, "Where have I seen that bike?" And I'm like, "Well, I wrote a book." And right away, he's like, "How to build it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And his camera, he's "Get it." And they're like, I had a copy of the book. He holds it up, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's the book he used," because he built the bike, a panhead for his first movie, Road to Paloma. And he was like, "Yeah, that's the book I used, you know, that and Billy Lane's book." And it was just like crazy because he had no idea I wrote the book. They didn't. And we're like, "Oh my God, so that's Kevin Baas, and we're here." So then Jay, like, this is where Jay's big heart really came through. Like, he was just like looking at it, and he's seen the bike, and then he sees the bike, and he's like, "Oh my God," he's like, "Bro, that bike needs to be in your family. You know, this thing is, you know, it's definitely a history lesson for you and your family when you're dead and gone." So he calls my son in, who at the time was a junior or sophomore in high school, just got his license, riding a 77 Ironhead. He brings him in, has him sit on the bike, and gets his camera crew in and says, "Hey, I'm going to start a story today, and we're going to finish it in a couple of years when he turns 19. And he drops the bomb that when you turn 19, I'm giving you your dad's first panhead as a gift. You need the bike." And it was like, we were crying, man, hugging, cheers, and it was it was amazing, and it made me realize like that guy cares, you know. He cares.
Put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, and he did something above and beyond. Didn't have to. I didn't ask him to do it, you know, and I never would have expected that. And it blew us away, and we're forever grateful because it's keeping that bike in the family, you know, with my son now. So this summer our plan is my dad's got pan heads. My son will have my first pan head. I got the pan head, and we're going to do a father, son, grandpa panhead ride to the 75th panhead reunion here this summer. So.
Wow, where is the panhead reunion?
I think it's at the museum. They usually do like kind of an outdoor thing there.
Wow, that is awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, it was pretty, blew me away. So
wow.
It just shows that he's a really good guy, man. And we've kept in touch, and we've been friends now, and he's just, man, I love his energy, you know, like, and like with anything, you'll get people that don't know him that are going to throw stones and think, oh, you know, this and that. But trust me, from being with him and spending 4 days on my property, dude's the real deal. He's a good guy. He's got a good soul, and man, it's just awesome. You know, I feel fortunate to call him a friend.
Yeah. The reason I couldn't even, honestly, I've never seen any of his movies. I couldn't name a single thing besides the Aquaman thing. But I'm such a sucker for, well, two things. One, guys hanging on the bikes and like first cars, first bikes, shit like that.
Yep.
I still have my first car. But I'm also intrigued by the recovery stories. Like, you know,
lose one and get it back.
One.
Yeah.
One of the cool ones I heard was, you know, Papa John's, the pizza place.
Yeah.
Apparently that guy's he's a car guy and had a '70 Camaro when he was younger, and just same thing, sold it when he was broke and all this shit. When he started making money, basically paid to have this thing hunted down.
Nice.
And he has his original car now.
Awesome.
But I'm just such a sucker for those old stories, man.
Yeah, and that's the stuff you hope that your kids will keep that, you know, keep it going and keep it in the family. And, you know, hopefully my grandkids will get my bikes and great grandkids, and when I'm long gone, you know, I'll have a legacy of what I've done, and hopefully my kids start with what I left them and do even more, you know, and keep the torch burning.
Yeah. I didn't know that thing was in your book and all that. I didn't know the history of that. I mean,
yeah, it was
crazy.
It was, the stars were in alignment, man. It was just crazy that all that worked out. You know, it's just that's what I gotta say. Like, my life has been full of so many of these, like, it's just like the stars get aligned just right, you know. And I always tell my students about, like, I show my students the videos with Jay and all that and pictures at my house, and they're always asking me, like, well, why did he come? Like, well, how did you get picked for this? And I tell my kids it's because of positive energy, you know, and hard work. If you build a life on being a good person, doing good things, having fun, not being negative and, you know, tearing people down, that's what's going to get you noticed. You know, when you Google somebody's name, if you see negative stuff and stuff they've done that is regretful, people don't want to associate with that, you know?
Right.
So I use it to help my students to tell them, hey, you're going to leave a footprint someday, then you never know who's going to call you and want to do videos.
Yeah.
Make sure you do good things, you know. Think twice before you post stuff on social media, you know, and make the right decisions. Work hard, put in the time, and, you know, it's like you plant some seeds, you know, the seeds don't pop up right away, right? You got to work at it. You got to water them. You got to nurture them. But when they do, the hard work pays off, you know. And with life, that's all we're doing right now. In our younger years, we're planting seeds for what we're going to be when we blossom as an adult, you know. And I hope that my words and my legacy with my students, you know, keeps them doing the good things and being positive and helping make the world a better place, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I tell people, man, whenever you meet someone or whatever, life's a big job resume, right? It's like every time, you know, it's a big resume, man.
Coming here too, it's cool, like all the different types of bikes and different builders, and, you know, it's fun when you see people that are new to the show, kind of deer in the headlights, and sometimes you see guys that, you know, they got their shades on like they're Mr. Cool Cat, better than everybody, but you know, most of the time you don't see a lot of here. Everybody's kind of humbled because no matter how cool you think your bike is, you look next door and there's even a cooler one there, and it's like it's just neat, you know. It's a big happy family, and I think we all know we're not here to compete. That's what I love. It's not a competition here. It's just a showcase. So we're not here trying to one-up each other. We're just here to say, hey, here's what I did and here's what I love, and yours is awesome, mine's awesome. There's no winner or loser, man. We're all winners here.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I don't want to kill too much of your time here. It's tough to grab people.
Oh, appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah. Is there anything you have coming up or whatever that you might want to tell people about? Or
I'm picking up a 1942 UL motor tomorrow, actually. So that's pretty exciting. It's all rebuilt, ready to rock. So
awesome.
My plan with that one is I'm going to bring the 46 knuckle that I have here back to my classroom, work on it with the kids, getting ready for the Donnie Smith show in March in Minneapolis. And I'll get that flathead motor, so then I can kind of teach the kids a little bit about, side valve, big twin, what a UL is compared to a WL, and what an FL 46 knuck is compared to, differences. And I'm excited about that because when I get a motor like that, like right now, it's sky's the limit because it's just a motor. So there's no plan that I have to follow other than just do something and let your heart and soul lead the build, and have fun with it. So
right. No rules, man.
No rules.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
Good luck with that build.
Appreciate it, man.
Good luck with the rest of the weekend, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I know we've talked for a while about getting this done, and I'm glad we were able to connect. And
yeah,
hopefully, next year we'll be here again and talk to you about some more new stuff. And just like I said, for everybody watching, man, just keep that positive energy flowing. The world's got too much negative energy, and we're never going to fix it by feeding fuel into negative fires. Fuel that positive energy, open up your hearts and your souls and smile, and good things happen.
I love it, man. That's the best way to end. I love it. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, brother.
See you guys later.
Adios.
Awesome, man. Yeah, perfect.
I'm a talker.